Today, we are going to build an interdimensional portal. How is it going, everybody? My name's Avid, and today I want to start by answering a question I get all the time.
Is there a
People
world where
with
can I get
money.
the
I'm
IT
assuming
or
there
will
will
be
be
a
a
world
download
this is
someday.
amazing.
This is
Can I
amazing.
get a
Would
love
download
to
link?
see it as
Very
well.
cool.
Is
Is
this
this
going to be a
what
link
we
put in the
release?
comments or something for this map so I can download it?
You guys are honestly amazing, and it makes me so happy that you want to know when this world can be downloaded. And I will say this, yes, one day this world can be downloaded. You see, I've been working on this adventure map that I call the Shrouded Isles, which also happens to be an SMP server, for a little over a year and a half. There is Copper Point, which is a parkour dungeon, Ebon Glade, a two-player puzzle dungeon, kind of like an escape the room that we are currently adding to, Crescent Bay, a place modeled after one of my favorite games, RuneScape. Then there's Cloud's Rest, which is the first true adventure on the server. Then there is The Deep, a quest that is very near and dear to my heart because this is where we created our evil AI boss, and it's probably one of my favorite quest designs. And for those of you who have been following my channel, you know all about Rosewood, or Vilethorn as it changes into at nighttime. This is a quest that we built entirely on camera. There's also a roguelite dungeon and full boss fight. This is probably my favorite quest. And not only do we have all of these quests, but they are all fully resettable, replayable, and work entirely on a multiplayer server. Get to the point! And the point is that I have spent a lot of time building these quests, but I am not finished with the story that I want to tell. I don't have an exact date for you guys on when this adventure map will be ready, but what I can tell you is you need to trust me and just follow along with the journey because it has already been an amazing one. And this goes without saying, but I love you guys. Now, let's go build an interdimensional portal. In the last episode, we learned a little bit about the origins of the Dark Gate. In fact, if you stuck around to the end of the episode, you did that, right? Then you would have seen a lore sequence that, well, you know what? Let's just cut to that for a second.
Destiny, I don't even know where I am. Who are you?
This is the Dark Gate, where the boundaries between your dimension and the other side are thin. It was constructed many millennia ago to hold off the forces of evil that used to pour through here.
So what we know so far is the Dark Gate is some kind of interdimensional portal to the other side dimension, which doesn't sound like a very good place if it harbors all of these evil monsters that used to pour through here. So the project that we are going to do today is we are going to create some kind of gateway to this dimension. Don't worry, we're not making a custom dimension in a data pack yet, but what we are going to do is make some kind of mini game that makes it feel like you are traveling between dimensions. What the heck kind of mini game is that? Kind of like the Dark Descent, but if you were to turn it on its side, sprinkle in a little bit of lava, and then add a mechanic that looks something like this. Essentially, what I'm trying to create is a game called Hole in the Wall, where these slime walls are traveling towards the player, and if they bounce into the player gets knocked off of like a platform, or maybe into lava, or into the void, or something like that. And these slime walls are traveling towards the player as they are making their way through the interdimensional tunnel. But the question now is, how do we make the slime walls move? You guys know me. 3 options. And this time, I have laid them out in order of probability to succeed. With the least probable option, I think we're gonna try first, which is to use this funky looking thing called a Minecart with a command block. Why does nobody use this thing? So from what I understand, all you have to do is lay down a little bit of powered rail, I think, and then we just drop this. Why don't I ever use this? Okay, well, you drop it down like this, and then you have to power it, right? And we might as well give this thing a command, so I don't know, we'll say something like, I'm not useless. So then we just run it, and Okay, that doesn't seem to get it to fire. Maybe you need activator rails? Apparently, I have to go to the wiki for redstone advice. So, I think if I turn this thing on, I'm not useless. Yeah. No, the idea here is that maybe we could have activator rails on every single block and then something like this? And then we have to somehow delete the blocks behind. I don't think this idea is gonna work. And it's not just because of the derpiness of the minecart with command block, it's when you set a block at a player's head, it's not gonna push the player into the lava or the void. It's gonna do something a little more like this. So we're going to have to rule that one out, but trust me, one day I will find a use for you. Next idea is Ghost Pistons. Do you remember the sound of the slime walls in the clip that I just showed you?
Did you hear that? Or do I need to play it one more time?
Why, if I didn't know any better, I would think that sound was a piston or a bunch of pistons, like a dozen pistons, like all firing at once, like really quickly every... Guys. So while I know that clip is from a heavily modified version of Minecraft, I think they are using pistons to push the walls. However, the pistons are invisible, and that's why I'm calling them Ghost Pistons. So how the heck do we make Ghost Pistons? First and foremost, we need to figure out how to best extend this piston. So what if I were to say the piston is extended? Would that not need redstone? Oh. Maybe I can pull the wall? So we just set this block here to a piston, and then we replace it, but we do so with an extended version. And it does pull the wall forward. So I'll be honest, I had zero hopes for this idea, but it actually kind of works, and it does look like a ghost piston. So here's my little setup. I just clone in the squishy walls of doom, and then I put a armor stand without any gravity just behind it. And this guy kind of keeps track of the position of the sticky wall. The first command here, all it does is it creates a sticky piston that is extended just beneath that armor stand. We then remove the block, the sticky piston, and then we move the armor stand one block this way. So all we have to do is hook this thing up to a clock, and look at this. It's a ghost piston. And confirmed, you can actually speed it up, though it's not quite as fast as that video. Goodbye, sweet prince, off into the night. He stopped. So I've made a couple improvements to the design. If you remember, the two commands were separated by one tick. So if I just put them on opposite sides of this observer clock, then we have the exact same effect. And so all I have to do is start this up, and look at that. I also got rid of the rails up above, and when that gets to the end now, it just deletes itself. And I think if I turn on this block, this should, oh, yeah, we have this problem too, which is that sometimes if you're on the wrong tick, based on which side of the observer clock is going, it won't pull the slime, and then it's forever broken. So I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I mean, honestly, this is further than I ever thought I would get with this type of design. It's kind of just like, well, let's just be honest. It's a flying machine, but with a lot more steps. So, Mr. Flying Machine, you're our only hope. Flying machines. I've never built one, but I do know that they follow a couple fundamental concepts. And to check those out, let's head on over to my creative world here, where if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you probably recognize some or all of these little projects I have scattered about. In fact, this moon now has a name. A viewer by the name Beowulf444 suggested we name this big hunk of cheese Gerald.
Gerald.
we're gonna do this demonstration of flying machines with Gerald looming over the background. So the simplest flying machine that I can think of is something like this. It's kind of like a cross of sticky pistons and slime blocks. Then what you wanna do is you wanna make sure your observers are both pointing inwards like this, so the little faces are on the outside.
Take off in 3, 2, 1, and you're off.
Okay, so here is our flying machine wall, and after seeing it, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that impressed, and there's a couple reasons. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but reason number one is it's kind of small, and you notice I added only 3 more slime blocks, and then it stops. My second concern is it's slow. It's twice as slow as our other option. Dare I say, the way to go is with Ghost Pistons. But in order to get our, I'm not gonna say the word again, invisible pistons to work, we need to solve that critical problem where our piston would fly away without the wall attached to it. And of course, it still doesn't solve our problem of wall size, so we're gonna have to figure out what to do there too. And it all starts with this sweaty looking command block. It works! And it's awesome! Look at this, how many? It's a little bit sweaty over here, that's okay, from this block up above. And with one problem solved, it's now time to consider the size constraints. But first, I want to appreciate how this looks. I am smiling so much just sitting inside of here. It reminds me a lot of The Dark Descent, but somehow it's way different in that trippiness factor. I don't know, it's just so cool. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Now, the last problem is how do we deal with the wall size constraint? And fortunately, the answer to this is just to use honey blocks, because honey blocks work exactly like slime blocks, except they don't stick to slime blocks and vice versa. So, what that means is you can make something like this. And, oh man, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get through. Duck, hurry, duck, we gotta get out. We made it, yeah. Guys, this is gonna be awesome. And with our mechanics all fleshed out, it is now time to make the big boy version. You didn't think I was gonna make the whole thing in one time lapse. Just kidding, we are, but I have an amazing idea. So I was starting to lay out the plans for this tunnel, and then I realized I didn't really wanna build it by hand, and why should we? We are command block masters, especially with armor stands. Basically, I want there to be 3 distinct sections. The first part of this interdimensional tunnel is going to be the lava-filled pools of doom. Oh gosh, and the main reason for this is to give a reason for why Bloodweave armor is required to be down here. If we look at the Bloodweave armor, it has fire protection 10. Hopefully this is enough to allow players to swim through the lava. We're gonna have to test that. But what I'm thinking is this section makes the Bloodweave armor important. After that, we're gonna have some kind of save room and players can put away their Bloodweave armor because then they're going to go into the slime wall section. Then we are going to have one final save room, and the last section is going to be called the ephemeral platforms. And you'll have to wait till the end of the video to see what that section is, but I encourage you to try to guess down in the comments. Using some techniques that I show off in my 5 amazing shapes video, we are going to use these armor stands to bore an interdimensional tunnel for us and decorate it a little bit. So I've come up with this really cool floor pattern. It's kind of expensive if you were to do it in survival, because yeah, those are respawn anchors, but this is what I want the floor to look like. And the tunnel I ended up extending to be 2 chunks wide, and it's also going to be a tube. So we have here Boris and Floris. Boris's responsibility is to bore a hole in the wall, and Floris's responsibility is to place the floor. So if I've hooked up everything correctly, then this should, in theory, start working. Ooh, that is looking good so far. Yes, that's our tunnel. Oh, and it's moving forward, and Boris! Wow, and Floris is, I mean, it's not nearly as exciting, but yes! Look, finally, we have the Morrises. Morris 1 is going to light up our beautiful tube. Oh my gosh, it's gonna look so cool. And then Morris 2s are all pointed at slightly different starting angles. And I'm really hoping that I get this cool effect. F3B is on. I really hope I get this cool effect that I'm trying to achieve. So, I think it's time to start the machine. But first, we have to give these guys a little bit of an identity. So let's just get the Morrises all decorated up. Hi, little guys. Floris, Boris, are you guys ready? All that's left now is to turn it on. Have you ever had that moment when you've made something that completely and totally surprises you? Just something so magnificent and so beautiful that you almost wonder if you actually made it or if it was always meant to be there and you were merely a conduit for its existence. For me, that is this tunnel. And with its creation, a bridge between dimensions was laid, unlike anything seen before. Now, there is only one question that remains. What lies on the other side? You know, I could spend the rest of the episode praising this tunnel, but seriously, we have so much work left to do, so let's get started on the lava pools. So I started working on the lava-filled pools of doom, and things took a completely different direction. I call this room the gateway. I started to work on what I'm calling the primordial tree here that extends all the way up to the entrance to our tunnel. If you just look through there, you can kind of see the tunnel poking through. And the way that this puzzle works is players are going to use their holy sickle to break these shroom lights. And if they do, there you heard lava over there starts filling out where the nether wart blocks are. And I'll do one more. So you look over there, see that block? That's nether wart. When players climb up that lava stream, they are able to do that because they have the special armor. Boom. There it goes, and it breaks the next one. And so what they do is they kind of climb up these different little towers here to get to the next shroom light, and eventually the very last one breaks. They climb up this, and they make their way up this kind of, I would say, very narrow pathway to get to the entrance to the next area, which then looks something like this. Using some of the randomizer tech that I came up with for our roguelike dungeon, I was able to actually come up with, I think I have like 24 different walls of slime and honey that are going to be moving down the tunnel as players try to make their way to the end. And what's pretty cool about this is I have a clock going here, and this clock is going to place one of these walls randomly at this location every couple of ticks. And as players make their way down the tunnel, these walls are going to be spawning in, and players have to make the choice of whether to duck or break the shroom lights, and they also have to worry about these holes in the ground and how they're going to navigate them. So this is pretty cool because, of course, at any point, players could fall into the void and, end their run. Now, the strategies to this minigame are actually pretty cool, and if you guys want to see me do a full run through of this tunnel, just wait, we're just about to do it. But first, let's talk about the ephemeral platforms. Believe it or not, this little detail took only 2 command blocks, those 2 over there, and the way that it works is really cool. So there is an invisible pathway that players uncover as they walk along this empty void. And what's pretty cool is you can have staircases that go up or down, or even sections where players need to kind of take a risk and figure out where to go next. And the way I did this is I actually laid out a pathway with a visible block, and then I went through and replaced out all of those visible blocks with actually 0 level light sources. And then I have 2 fill commands here, one that replaces light sources close to me with this frog light, and another command that removes the light sources if I'm far enough away. And now with the ephemeral platforms complete, it's time for the moment you all have been waiting for. Let's play play this minigame. I guarantee you have never seen anything quite like this in vanilla Minecraft. So let's make our way down this interdimensional tunnel here, grab our cursed holy sickle, and try not to get pushed into the void. So as you can see here, we have all of these walls that are randomized and moving towards us pretty quickly. It's a kind of a modified command blocks flying machine that we worked on in this episode. And what my general strategy has been is if I'm presented with the option to break a shroomlight or to duck, I'm gonna duck. So, and the reason for that is because the shroomlight breaking, it's not perfect. It's almost like there are these invulnerability frames that are granted when it's being moved by the piston, which I totally understand why the Minecraft engine does that. Like, you can't break a block while it's in the middle of being moved by a piston. That would lead to an indeterminate state. Oh gosh, gotta be so careful. Okay, so, but what I have discovered is it's pretty advantageous to just see that bounce there to jump on top of the slime. Because the faster you move, the fewer number of these walls are actually generated. And that's just kind of how the walls work in general. If you notice, they're being generated about 15 blocks away from the player. So you're kind of at an advantage if you can move super quickly. So we're getting actually towards the end of this. I had a pretty good run. I'm getting a little nervous though, because this spot gets super tight. Okay, we're just gonna have to go for it. Yes, okay, this is good now. We can duck, and then what are we gonna have to do? Oh no, I'm getting pushed. Oh my gosh, that was super close. Okay, all right, I can do this, I can do this. Yep, break that. Bounce, bounce, yes, duck. Okay, all right, this is it. Jump. Yeah, nice work. That was awesome. If you made it this far into the episode, you probably should consider subscribing, just saying. And I also highly recommend you check out one of the videos that I'm linking up above. A huge shout out to all of my Patreon sponsors and those on my Discord server. Thank you all so much for the support, and I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.